So in the parsha we have it's a tragic story, as we know, the story of the Meraglim, the spies, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu sends 12 big tzaddikim to Eretz Yisrael, and we know what happens. 10 of them come back with a dibara, with lashon hara, with something negative about Eretz Yisrael, unfortunately, and 2, however, come out with positive reports, right? Yeshua ben Nun and Kalev ben Yefuna. So it's interesting. Rashi tells us, it's hinted to in the beginning of the parsha, that before Moshe sends them to Eretz Yisrael, so he pulls Yeshua ben Nun aside and gives him a bracha. He changes his name from Hosea, adds the letter Yud, makes his name Yehoshua, and that itself was a tefillah that Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, Ka Yoshiacha mi'atzas meraglim, Hashem should help you, that you shouldn't fall into the mistake of the other spies. Now that fact that Moshe Rabbeinu davens and gives added strength to Yeshua ben Nun raises a lot of issues. First of all, it tells you that Moshe Rabbeinu knew already that the other 10 spies were making trouble. So the obvious question is, so why doesn't he call them back? Like, get new people, like, what's going on? Okay, that's one question. We're not going to try to deal with that. Another question is, well, if he is going to go out of his way to daven and to give strength to Yeshua, why doesn't he do that for Kalev? It's interesting. Chazal tell us that the whole time as the spies were traveling through Eretz Yisrael, so the 10 spies have their plan. They're going to speak negative. They're going to see only negative things. Fine. Yeshua ben Nun is on the other side of the fence, only seeing positive. He's good to go. Kalev, on the other hand, is a person that struggled with this. Chazal tell us, for example, that along the trip, as they were traveling through Israel, Kalev had his own side trip. He went to Hebron to go daven by the Maras Machpelah, to daven that his ancestors, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, should give him strength, that he shouldn't fall into the mistake of the other spies, and come back with a positive report. And so Moshe Rabbeinu knew all of this, certainly. And so why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu go out of his way to give a bracha, to be mispal, to give some strength to Kalev ben Yefuna also? So it's like this, I'm share with you an idea that we find in, this is a sefer called Parshas Emes. This is from Rav Leib Eger. Rav Leib Eger, he was the grandson of the great Rav Kiva Eger. I see he was Rav Kiva Eger's grandson. He became a chassid. So this is what he says. This is how he describes Kalev's unique role. You see, for whatever reason, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that the 10 spies were going to have a problem. They knew that the 10 spies going into land, they were going in with a pessimistic view, with a negative perspective already from the beginning, and therefore he knew that the 10 spies it was going to be an issue. Again, why didn't he just call them back and replace them with other people? It's a good question. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that the 10 spies were going to have an issue. But here's the idea. The idea is that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to send along with those 10 spies 2 people that would be able to somehow, or at least to send along with those 10 spies someone that will be able to be makar of them, to influence them, to pick them up, to give them strength. And here's the idea. The idea is, says Rav Leib Eger, that Yeshua ben Nun, as great as he was, because he was so great, he was unable to truly, on any level, influence the other 10 spies. Why? Because he didn't get it. There was no relationship between Yeshua ben Nun and the other 10 spies. Yeshua ben Nun could not understand where they were coming from. Now, as the 10 spies are traveling through Eretz Yisrael, all they see are problems. And Yeshua ben Nun, you know what all he sees? All he sees is holy things. And there's no overlap between the two. There's no common language. Yeshua ben Nun is not relatable to the other 10 spies. And because of that lack of relatability, because of that, Yeshua ben Nun couldn't influence them. What's amazing is that Kalev ben Yefuna, specifically because he struggled with the same issues that the 10 spies struggled with, that created a relatability between him and the 10 spies, and because of that, Kalev at least had the potential to help them out. We find later on, for example, when all the spies come back and the 10 spies give their negative report, and Yeshua ben Nun is saying, I don't know what these guys are talking about, Eretz Yisrael is a great place, it's unbelievable. And so no one's listening to him. No one's listening to him because everyone's panicked and nervous about what's going to be. The 10 spies, they're telling the giants are there and it's a crazy place. And everyone's panic stricken. It says in Pasuk, Vayahas Kalev, that Kalev was able to silence the crowd and at least for 2 minutes strengthen their faith. How so? What did Kalev say? You know what Kalev said? Kalev said, I understand exactly what you're going through. I get it. I was just as afraid as the other 10 spies going there. But I'm telling you, with all that, we can still make it. And that's something that resonated with the people, albeit for a few minutes, and then the panic set back in. But for a few minutes, there was some peace of mind. And that came because Kalev ben Yefunah was not given that blessing from Moshe Rabbeinu. You see, Moshe Rabbeinu blessed Yeshua ben Nun, and that blessing was so potent, and that letter Yud was so powerful, that Yeshua ben Nun walked through the land without any problems at all. And because of that, that's great. But there's no relatability. He wasn't able to, on any level, try to uplift the people around him. Kalev used his background. Kalev used the fact that he was petrified, walking through the land just as much as the 10 spies, and instead of wallowing in that misery and allowing that fear to overtake him, he used that and he capitalized on it, and he turned it into a vehicle to try to be Makar of other Yid. Leibler writes the following words. He says, Yeshua halach b'kavanazu. When Yeshua was walking through the land, you know what he was thinking? He was thinking like this, I don't care what I see. He went in already, it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to see giants, I'm going to see small people, I'm going to see huge grapes the size of watermelons, it doesn't make a difference to me. Whatever I see, it's all good, the Rebbeinu Shalom is with me, it's going to be Gevaldik. That's very, very nice. It's an ideal way of thinking, but it's unrelatable to most people. But he says, however, Kalev halach, how did Kalev go? Kalev went every single step that Kalev took, every single step he took, he was davening, Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm petrified of this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going to be. Hashem Yisbarach, please help me get myself through this. And that's a type of mindset that the rest of the Jewish people that were also stricken with fear could hear, and they could receive. You know, there's such an idea in Hasidus. We find the following idea. This is it's somewhat of a shocking thing. But the Sfarim do point this out, that sometimes Hashem Yisbarach makes a person go through a certain difficult situation in life, whether even a sin. A person, Hashem Yisbarach can actually compel a person or stack the odds against him or her to do something wrong for one single purpose, to create a relatability with other Jews. I'll give you a mashal that's given to this. Let's say there was the Ramil Chavlashensky used to say this story. He said, let's say there was once a maid who was very poor, doesn't have much of her own, and she's walking by a well, and all she has to her name is this little earthenware jug. That's all she has. It's her pot that she cooks everything in, and she happens to be walking by the well, and what happens? The one jug of the one earthenware jug that she has falls into the well, and she's thinking to herself, okay, that's it. There goes my jug. I'm not going to be able to hire people to start digging and finding it for me. It's it. Now, an hour later, she's sitting and watching, and an hour later, the princess also walks by this well. And the princess is carrying a beautiful golden jug. And the princess drops her jug into the well. So now the maid is all happy. Why? Because she says, certainly the princess is going to hire people to get her jug out. And once they're getting her jug out, they'll get my jug out too. Said Ramelech Lezhensk, sometimes a Jew makes a mistake. Things happen. There's two ways to look at it. Stam, I made a mistake, and wallow in that. Or, I'm going to use that experience to create a relatability with others. And said Ramelech Lezhensk, if a person makes a mistake and tries to repair himself, then by doing so, not only are you getting yourself out of that well, but you are schlepping along all Jews that made similar mistakes to you. And every time a Jew davens, every time we do a mitzvah, every time we try to better ourselves, we have to think that I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm trying to bring out from that well all Jews that have a similar background to me. And this is the relatability that life compels us to have with other Jews. It's a very, very important thing. The only way to uplift other Jews is to realize that everything that we've gone through is for the purposes of creating a relatability with others. This is true in terms of actually communicating with other people, right? That you have to understand where people are coming from. And like I said, even within oneself, the person is saying Tehillim in their own personal life, and they're trying to raise themselves and pick themselves out of their own issue. But you have to realize that in the world of the souls, there's a lot of connections between one Jew and another. And by you picking yourself up, you're picking other Jews at the same time. And that's what Kalev ben Yefunah, that's the strength of Kalev ben Yefunah. The Yeshua ben Nuns of the world are Gevaldik. But in order to really uplift other Jews and to give strength to other Jews, there has to be relatability. And sometimes a person, therefore, has to look back at their own experiences and the difficulties and the ups and downs of life, and to learn from that how to become more sensitive to others, and how to learn from that to become someone who's more relatable to other people. And by doing so, what was until now a weakness becomes a strength. It's a very, very important thing. And I'll tell you a quick story before we go to Mincha. It's already late. I'll share with you it's a quick story. Maybe I mentioned this to you once, I'm not sure. There's a Maisa, there was a certain Jew who came to the Rav of the town, and he said, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. He said, what happened was this past Shabbos, I was traveling somewhere for Shabbos, and I was traveling with some wagon, and the truth be told, honestly, I got started a little bit late, it's true. But one thing led to another. It was traffic, it started raining, whatever it is, I got stuck on the road. I was Michal Shabbos, I was driving on Shabbos. So the Rav was like, I don't know what to do. So I was like, be Michal Shabbos, it's a very serious thing, it's a whole prescription I have to give you now. You have to say Tillim, the whole Sefer Tillim every Monday and Thursday. You have to fast every Wednesday. It's like a whole thing. And the guy's listening to this is like, okay, I like a second opinion. So the guy goes to the Baal Shem Tov, travels to the Baal Shem Tov. And he goes to the Baal Shem Tov, he said, Rabbi, 2 weeks ago I was, I got stuck, I was driving on Shabbos, what do I do? And the Baal Shem Tov said, breaking Shabbos is a serious thing. The guy's thinking, I'm going to say, 2 Sefer Tillims twice now, So the Baal Shem Tov says, maybe like this, maybe this coming Shabbos you should donate for the shul in your town, donate the candles for Shabbos. And the guy's like, and? It'll be okay. Okay, pretty good. So he starts to leave. The Baal Shem Tov says, by the way, when you go home, go to the Rav of your town, and I want him to come to me for Shabbos. Okay, fine. So he goes back to the Rav, tells the Rav, okay, whatever, Baal Shem Tov worked it out with me, and the Baal Shem Tov wants you to come for Shabbos, be his personal guest. So the Rav is very excited. So the Rav packs his bags, gets ready, gets on his horse, starts traveling Friday afternoon, all of a sudden starts raining. The roads get muddy, traffic, all of a sudden, and the Rav is stuck on the road on Shabbos, and he's driving on Shabbos. So the Rav comes to the Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe, I don't know what happened. My entire life I never broke Shabbos. I was compelled to break Shabbos. What do I do, Rebbe? What do I do? So Baal Shem Tov said, you think I brought that storm. I made that traffic. So he said, when that Jew came to you, you never tasted Chil Shabbos. You don't know how guilty that guy was feeling. So you thinking from your high horse, you're Yeshua, and you don't get what that guy was going through. So you think to be masakin, for him to correct his mistake, he needs Tillim and fasting and all that stuff. He comes to me, I felt his pain. I felt how much guilt he was feeling, and the guilt that he was feeling already did the tshuva. Why did I tell him to buy candles? To make him feel better. He should feel like he's doing something. So even that he didn't need. And so I caused you to be Michal Shabbos, that from the rest of your life you should feel what that's like. And whenever a Jew comes to you with a feeling of like, what do I do? I did such a big avera. You go back to what you're feeling right now, and because of that, you'll have a relatability to that Jew, and you'll be able to pick him up. And that's the chizuk of our parsha. To become Yeshua ben Nun is probably long gone, but to become Kali ben Yefunis, that's already within our range. Whatever issues that we've gone through, again, whether it be in Parnasa, in Shidduchim, in health, in Ruchnius, whatever it is, to convert those inyanim into something that makes us better human beings and better people, and people that are more relatable to others. And whenever a Jew comes to us with tzaras, and whenever we read about tzaras or think about other Jews, become a Kali ben Yefuna. Think about what that is to you, and create a bond with that Jew. And when you pick yourself up, all of a sudden that Jew is going to be picked up as well. All right, Thank you, Hashem. Thank